Alright, we're here at Industrial Metal Supply. This is where I'm going to get my DOM tubing and some strap, and I'll show you guys how much it costs and all that good stuff, and we'll get this project underway. Alright, here's what we got. We got DOM steel. We got basically 20 feet, 095, $84 for that piece. The 3/16 2-inch 10-footer is $18. This is just an invoice pickup, so that comes out to $103 plus tax, so it's basically $110 for the materials for some side step slash rock sliders. Okay, first thing on the list is we're gonna make the plate that goes all the way across. It's just under 5 feet, so we'll get that cut, and then so we're gonna use those bolt holes obviously, and then there's bolt holes right here that we're also gonna use underneath, and I'm gonna just do a tab that connects to the plate and we'll weld it there, so we'll have nice sturdy tabs underneath. We got all our tabs ready. Just need to drill some holes. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put the big sheet, I'm just going to hold it under and make my marks, and then after I make my little mark here, I'll probably go 1/2 inch in and then drill the hole right there. And then with these guys I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to go 1/2 inch in and make sure it's in the middle, and then when after I drill the hole, I'm just gonna bolt it on and then make my tacks, so everything will be set where it needs to be, and when I go to put it back on, it should be perfect. Alright, I moved things around to get ready for drilling, and a little quick tip to make things go a little faster. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can use a vice grip, clamp them together, and then put it in a vise and drill them that way, or just tack on either side, and that's what I'm going to do. Put them in the vise, and then afterwards you just grind down your tacks and drop them on the floor. They fall apart. It's definitely quicker than doing all 6. And then I'm going to do something similar to this, put it back to back, probably clamp it, and a lot of times I like to put a 2x4 or a piece of wood under whatever I'm drilling, and makes it a little cleaner, and that way you don't have to be so careful. Alright, we got all our holes drilled. It's a 3/8 hole for, pretty sure these are the bolts we're using. Pretty sure these are 8mm bolts. Not 100%, 8 or 10. But another tip, try to get into a good habit of using oil as much as I can when drilling and cutting, because it really does save the life of the blades, and they're not cheap. I went with, I think, the 3/16 one that I broke because I think I was pressing too hard, trying to find that balance between going slow and pressure, because I realized after burning a bunch of bits is you don't just pull the trigger and let it rip. You pull it halfway, make sure you're getting all these nice curlies in there, and I'll show you some good ones. Like all these good guys is what I'm trying to shoot for. That's when you know you got a good pace, and saves the blades, cuts better, cuts cleaner. Nice even holes. I'm gonna clean these up. I'm going to grind clean where the tabs are gonna meet these. I'm gonna clean these up more, just so we get a good weld. All this stuff, you gotta clean, you gotta do the prep work, take the time. All right, we got all these little guys cleaned up and ready to go. And then when I bolt this on, I'm gonna double check where these land, and then I'll clean up on these bottom sides. So we're nice and clean for no contaminants. Okay, tabs are on there, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make some marks right there, and I'm gonna make sure I cut the line completely off, and those marks are gonna let me know where to clean all the mill scale off. Sorry. So get the good welds. Cool. That's it. I'm gonna do the other side. Okay, let me show you guys where we're at this point. So we have these guys nice and flush. Well, actually, I don't want that. What I want to do is I'm going to take these bottom pieces back off. I'm going to bevel a nice 45-degree on this, just this bottom tab, to create a valley so we can throw a nice thick bead under there. Okay, I'm ready to tack this up, and I'm just going to show you my setup. This is a Lincoln 180. 180T. So I'm using 75-25 argon CO2, I'm using 030, and at our 3/16, which I'm welding, we're maxed out. So I'm gonna put it on the 035 wire setting, and I'm just gonna go slow. And another trick I heard if you're underpowered is you can use a torch, put some heat on it. That'll get it prepped a little bit if you're using like a Harbor Freight welder. That's one way you can get a little bit more thickness out. But I'm just gonna go slow, and this thing will stick nice. on the outside. Where is it? There you go. And right now I'm gonna throw 2 tacks on the inside, right here and right here, all the way down, and then we'll flip it over, throw a bead on top, bring it back inside, throw a bead inside, and that's just to attempt to minimize warping. Okay, plates and the tabs are all welded up. So next, hope this isn't burning up. But, next, so what I'm gonna do is I want the post or the tube that I'm gonna weld onto here. I wanna put them on the end tabs, right on that marker. And then since this is so off-centered, I'm just gonna put it in the middle. So I'm gonna make those marks, grind clean. Alright, we gotta set up the tube notcher. This is just a Harbor Freight notcher. Definitely nothing special, but it gets it done. The way I'm gonna do these, and got these scrap pieces. Gonna notch both sides first, then measure them 2.5 inches from the deepest part, and then cut it after. A lot easier doing it after than cutting them first and try to stick a tiny 2.5 inch piece into there. So there's another piece of scrap. Gonna do the same thing. Notch it, then cut 2.5 inches. Then we got our 3 posts, and we'll be able to bend finally. Thing I can show you real quick is with these Harbor Freight tube notchers, you can move this little section, 2 bolts underneath, just loosen them up and push them almost as far forward as you can to where there's just enough room for your tubing to come through, because as you start going through your material, this guy will start shaking. So close as you can get to your material always works out a little bit better. All right, so this is what we got. You can see how it's uneven, and that's because these awesome Harbor Freight notchers, you look at where this centers, it's a little to one side. And what you can do to help that is put another washer in between here, but then that takes away your threads, and I've already gone through one before trying to tighten them down. They never really get too tight and they just get unthreaded. You can get longer bolts and do it that way, but this is a new one I got from a friend. So this is actually going to work out okay, because what I'm going to do is put this longer piece on the bottom side to hold up the side step. So it's going to work out just fine. Another thing, when we're welding these parts that get really thin, we're going to grind that even so it looks more normal, like this side. So we'll clean that out, give it a light bevel on the outside, and then it'll be prepped for welding after we sand down all this mill scale on this. So a few more steps to go. This is all cleaned up. Let me show you what I meant by getting rid of all those thin pieces, keeping them thick so your welds don't blow through. So after that, I'm going to measure from here to here, 2.5 inches, cut it with a portable bandsaw, which is by far my favorite tool. Highly recommend it. Quick, easy, not super loud. They're not cheap, but they are worth it. Let me show you this real quick. My gimbal that I've been using for the time lapse just died. So this is drill press vise that I've been using to hold tubing. Works really good for cutting this up. So I'm gonna get that done real quick. Okay, so we got these all really cleaned up. I even took the pad and dug inside because there's still oils in there and stuff from shipping, keep them from rusting. So the more I do this, the more I learn. Every extra little step you do does make a difference, and it shows in the end product. So those are super clean and ready to go. I'm gonna clean these up, measure them where I want to tack those, and as soon as that's done, we can start bending our outer bar. Okay, we got this contraption set up. So if you don't have a fixture table, whatever you can, go to a scrapyard, get some heavy, thick steel, and or the recycling section, just so you can lay something down to help with warpage. But this is the actual tubing I'm using, and I have these little, I think they're called strong hands. I think they're $10 for 2 on Amazon. These are really cool. I had the Harbor Freight ones. If they drop once, they get all crooked and they suck. They don't stick that well either. These ones work really good. I'm gonna get another set. So the reason why I put this bar on there, just to use as a guide. And man, that looks sweet. If I do say so myself, that looks perfect. So, and this is just for tacking up, so we'll be nice and solid. Okay, we're all tacked up. I just did 1 on bottom, 2 on top, in kind of like a triangle pattern, but all those clamps seem to work perfect. Sits in there perfect every time. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the other one. Get it done. Okay, I got this set up, ready for bending. So I'm gonna measure from this end all the way to the front of this end. And I'm gonna make my marks on the tape. And then I'm gonna use my little cheater bend bar for a 70-degree bend. And then I'm gonna, it's gonna guide me where I need to start my bend. And then we'll go all the way to the other end, do the same thing. Make marks where I need to start my bend, and then that way the bend should be perfect. And at the same time, I'm going to be making sure I stay 2.5 inches away from the top tape line for the post so it fits on perfectly. Okay, we got our little setup going, templates and all that good stuff. So we got our bar down. This is the middle of my bar. This is the middle of my measurement. And why we're gonna do that is, I'll show you right now. So this is exactly where I want it to end, but actually we're gonna cut it inside a little bit, but that's the length we want it. And then I'm gonna make my mark right here, and this is where we know the bend's gonna end. And each one of these little grooves represent an inch. So where I need to start my bend is 8 inches. So I'm gonna measure from here to here 8 inches, make a mark. That's where I'm gonna start my bend. And then what we can do from here is where my start mark is, I can measure all the way to my middle mark. And then from there, whatever measurement that is, measure it this way, make the mark, and then we have the exact same on both sides. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll show you all my marks afterwards. Okay, so we're zeroed out right there. That was the ending mark. This is gonna be the start of my bend mark. It's at 36 1/4. So now I'm gonna flip it around, measure from here to here, 36 1/4, and I'll have my start mark for the other side. Okay, real quick, we got our 36 3/4 from middle on both sides. What I'm gonna do right now, because I have messed up before, is this end mark that I already made. Do this little trick, wipe it off. So that way, I don't accidentally throw it in there, not pay attention, and start on my finish mark, which I've done before. Okay, we're ready for our second bend, and I use this side to level it out so it's perfectly straight. Once I start bending this, they'll both be zeroed out. You can see in there, we're right on our mark, and we'll do the second bend. So what happened was, when I did all these good measurements, it was exactly 72 inches. So I had to use my 8-foot piece instead of those two 6-foot pieces. So I need to take my own advice, since I'm still a novice, and get more. So when I did the math the right way, that's pretty spot on where I want it. I am going to cut an inch in from this line to make sure it doesn't hit those. So we're gonna take an inch off right here, so land somewhere around here. All right, we got both sides cut now. And what I'm gonna do with these scrap pieces is I'm gonna get 1.5 inch strap and kind of outline this, and then cut around that flat strap to kind of make a hexagon or octagon. And then from there, I'll use the grinder and round it off. And then that's what I'm gonna use to cap it. Okay, we got our little tabs we made. Not perfectly oval, but check the fitment. Not too shabby, I'll take it. So yeah, we'll clean up all this stuff with the Scotch-Brite and tack it up. And then I'm gonna get some jack stands and I'm gonna line it up, see where I like it, and then make marks for where they're gonna connect so I can sand those nice and clean. And then actually on the inside, I'm gonna drill holes where all the pillars are. And that's to let gas out, I guess. Once you're welding it all the way through, it needs somewhere to escape. Otherwise, you'll get like a pushback of pressure. I've only seen it once, but it does happen. So this is what I meant, the little escape holes, just 1/8 inch drill bit. Tack these on, then I'm gonna start welding. I am gonna use this spatter spray and spray my nozzle too. Helps keep down all the BBs and whatnot. So I'm gonna go back and forth between trying to throw just solid beads down and doing like a pulse TIG style. I like using both. You know, obviously going full beads is gonna be way stronger, but the pulse still sticks and it looks a lot cleaner. So I'll show you. Okay, this is what we got. Sorry. Let's hear it, critics. How did I do? I'm not too bummed about it. I think it came out pretty good. So, get it back on the car, show you that, and then we'll paint it. All right, here's what we got. Clears the door by like 1 inch, which is perfect. That's kind of where I wanted this guy to land. Stand there for you. Nice and strong. Pretty cool.